Welcome to CSE Guru. In this session, we will discuss about the topic SRTF scheduling algorithm. SRTF is shortest remaining time first scheduling algorithm. This is a variation of SJF algorithm. If you are considering this SJF scheduling, it can be a preemptive scheduling or non-preemptive scheduling. Suppose if all the jobs is available in the ready queue before assigning any process to the CPU for execution, then the SJF algorithm will implement a non-preemptive scheduling. The preemptive decision takes place when the ready queue is updated frequently with newly arrived process. In that case, the algorithm will compare the remaining CPU burst time of the executing process with the newly arrived process in the ready queue. In that case, the algorithm will implement the preemption. So, in this SRTF algorithm, initially with the available jobs, the scheduler will choose the least burst time process and that will be assigned to the CPU for execution. And during the process execution, the scheduler will verify the ready queue frequently. Suppose if a new process arrives at the ready queue with the shortest burst time compared to the executing process with the CPU. In this case, the algorithm will compare the remaining CPU burst time of the executing process with the burst time of all other processes in the ready queue. If the process in the ready queue is having a shortest burst time compared to the remaining time of the executing process, the algorithm will preempt the currently executing process with the CPU and arise the new process with the shortest burst time. Since the algorithm compares the remaining time of the executing process with the burst time of all other processes in the ready queue, the algorithm is called shortest remaining time first algorithm, that is SRTF algorithm. In this case also, if any two processes having the same CPU burst time, the scheduler will implement the FCFS scheduling for those two processes. So, the preemptive SJF algorithm is called the SRTF algorithm. But in non-preemptive SJF algorithm, once the process is assigned to the CPU for execution, it will not preempt the process. Now, we will solve a problem based on SRTF scheduling algorithm. Consider the following four processes with arrival time and the length of the CPU burst time given in milliseconds. There are four processes. The process P1 with arrival time 0 and burst time 8. Process P2 with arrival time 1 and burst time 4. Process P3 with arrival time 2 and burst time 9. Process P4 with arrival time 3 and burst time 5. So if you are considering this problem, there are four processes with arrival time and burst time given. We need to find the completion time, turnaround time and the waiting time. Completion time is nothing but the time when the process completes its execution with the CPU. Turnaround time is nothing but the time interval between when the process arrives to the ready queue and when the process completes its execution. Waiting time is nothing but the total waiting time in the ready queue before the process is assigned to the CPU. So now we will construct the Gantt chart first. So this Gantt chart shows the starting time and the completion time of the execution of each process with the CPU. So if you are considering here, at the time of 0 millisecond, only the process P1 will be available in the ready queue. So there is no other process in the ready queue. So no need to compare the burst time with any other process since this is the only process. So assign the process P1 to execute with the CPU. So the starting CPU time is 0 millisecond. So first process P1 is assigned to execute with the CPU. Now the process P1 will execute till the next process arrives into the ready queue. Suppose if any new process enters into the ready queue, the scheduler will compare the remaining CPU burst time of the ongoing process with the CPU burst time of the newly entered process. Suppose if the newly entered process is having the least CPU burst time compared to the remaining time of the executing process, the scheduler will suspend the ongoing process and assign the new process into the CPU for execution. So, if you are considering process P2 enters into the ready queue at 1 millisecond. So the process P1 will execute for 1 millisecond. So at the time of 1 millisecond, a new process has entered into the ready queue. Now the scheduler will compare the remaining time of process P1. So the total burst time of process P1 is 8. So it has completed its execution 1 millisecond. So the remaining time required for process P1 is 7 millisecond. Now, at the time of 1 millisecond, when process P2 enters into the ready queue, the scheduler will compare the remaining time of process P1 with the newly arrived process CPU burst time. Which one is lesser? That will be assigned to the CPU. So now if you are comparing, process P1 is having 7 millisecond, that is the remaining time required is 7 millisecond, and the process P2 CPU burst time is 4 millisecond. Since the process P2's burst time is lesser, the scheduler will preempt the ongoing process P1 and assign a new process to the CPU. So now the process P2 will be assigned to the CPU for execution. So this process also will continue its execution till a new process arrives into the ready queue. So if you are considering, the process P3 will enter into the ready queue at the time 2 millisecond. So the process P2 will execute for 1 millisecond. When a new process enters into the ready queue, the scheduler will compare the remaining time of process P1, that is 7, and the remaining time of process P2 is 3 millisecond, and the CPU burst time of process P3 is 9. Now if you are considering, process P2 is the least among the three processes, so P2 will continue its execution till the next process arrives into the ready queue. At the time of 3 millisecond, process P4 enters into the ready queue. So P2 will continue its execution for another 1 millisecond, that is 3 millisecond. At the time of 3 millisecond, the scheduler will compare the remaining time of process P1, that is 7 millisecond. The remaining time of process P2 is, it has completed its execution 2 millisecond. Now remaining time is 2, and process P3 CPU burst time is 9. Process P4 burst time is 5. So if you are comparing all the four processes, the process P2 is having the least CPU burst time. That is the remaining CPU burst. So P2 will continue its execution. So if you are considering here, there is no other process enters into the ready queue. So P2 will continue till it completes its execution. So if you are considering, P2 will execute for another 2 millisecond. So the process P2 CPU burst time is 4. So 1 plus 4, it is 5 millisecond. So once the process P2 completes its execution, the scheduler will compare process P1, the remaining time, that is 7, process P3 with 9, and process P4 with 5. So process P4 is having the least CPU burst time. So next process P4 will be assigned to the CPU for execution, and P4 will execute for 5 milliseconds. So totally 10. So once process P4 completes its execution, the remaining process are process P1 and process P3. So process P1 with 7 millisecond and process P3 with 9 millisecond. So least one is process P1 with 7 millisecond. So process P1 will execute for 7 milliseconds. So 10 plus 7, it is 17. Next, the only process in the ready queue is process P3. Process P3 will execute for 9 millisecond. So it is 26. Now we will find the completion time for each process. So if you are considering the Gantt chart, the starting time is the left side value and the completion time is the right side value. So for process P1, the starting time is nothing but 0 here. But when it has completed its execution, that is 17 millisecond. So process P1 completion time is 17. Process P2 if you are considering completion time is 5. And process P3 if you are considering completion time is 26. Process P4 completion time is 10 millisecond. So next we need to find the turnaround time. Turnaround time is nothing but completion time minus arrival time. So completion time is 17, arrival time is 0. So 17 minus 0, it's 17. For process P2, 5 minus 1, 4. Process P3, 26 minus 2, it is 24. Process P4, 10 minus 3, it is 7. Next, we need to calculate the waiting time. Waiting time is nothing but turnaround time minus burst time. So turnaround time for process P1 is 17 and the burst time is nothing but 8. So it is 9. Next, for process P2, turnaround time is 4 and the burst time is 4. 0. For process P3, 24 minus 9, it is 15. And for process P4, it is 7 minus 5, 2 milliseconds. Next, we need to find the average turnaround time and the average waiting time. Average turnaround time is nothing but the sum of the turnaround time of all the process divided by number of process. So, sum of the turnaround time is 52 divided by number of processes 4, that is 13 milliseconds. And waiting time is nothing but sum of the waiting time of all the process divided by number of process. So the waiting time of all the processes 26 divided by number of processes 4. So that is equal to 6.5 milliseconds. So the average waiting time of all the processes 6.5 milliseconds and the average turnaround time for all the processes 13 milliseconds. So in this session, we have discussed the SRTF scheduling algorithm, that is shortest remaining time first scheduling algorithm. In the next session, we will discuss about the priority scheduling algorithm. Thank you for watching this video.